Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to be discussing this question, which is from the unit of stratification and mobility. This video series is about previous year questions, and we're starting from this unit. And I am Vikram Kaushal, and let's get started. So the question says, how are hierarchy and exclusion major impediments in the transformation of societies? Now we're going to be discussing the answer to this question in this video, and at the end of that video what you can do is you can click on the YouTube link drop down menu that is provided below this video, and you can download the PDF that is attached alongside this video, which is of the model answer, right, to this question answer that we are discussing here, right? So you can do that. Let's get started here. All right, so we would first want to break down this question to understand the demand of this question, and the keywords that are used here in this question, which is again, how are hierarchy and exclusion major impediments? How are hierarchy and exclusion major impediments in the transformation of societies, right? So the keywords that are used are hierarchy, exclusion, impediments. Impediments means roadblocks or problems that come in your way. Social transformation. So social transformation can, in a sociological context, mean different things. It often means desirable social change. So there is a value meaning attached to it for a lot of people. Like, for example, Karl Marx believed that communism would be the desirable social transformation for him, or Emily Durkheim believed that the positivist stage is desirable social transformation, or let's just say G.W.F. Hegel believes that getting to that highest state of human rationality or consciousness is social transformation. So different sociologists have different ideas. We will talk about which idea we are going to suitably use for this question answer. So the directive word here for this question is how, right? How. So how are hierarchy and exclusion major impediments in the transformation of societies? Now, what does that mean? We're trying to rephrase that, right, to understand what does that mean. And we're saying that it basically means, put another way, it means that we should explore how hierarchy and exclusion come in the way of social progress. And we should be able to do that with examples. We should be able to do that with sociological theories. We should be able to do that citing thinkers, right? As to how hierarchy and exclusion come in the way of obstruct social transformation, right? So that is what the examiner wants us to do with this question answer. So what are the examiner's expectations from us, right? First of all, that we demonstrate the understanding of how hierarchy and exclusion function and what is its impact on social transformation, and then that we are able to mention relevant sociologists and theories, and we're able to use examples to substantiate, to back up our claims that we make here. And that for our answer structure, we shall have a clear and a structured approach to explain how these social constructs, that is the ideas we're going to talk about, they affect progress of, that is the constructs of hierarchy and exclusion, how they affect social transformation, which is often considered progress by a lot of people, right? Desirable social change. Okay. So coming to the introduction part, we would want to define in our introduction of the answer, right, the first part of our answer, we would like to define what is hierarchy. So basically, hierarchy is a ranking order, right? Hierarchy is a ranking order. I'm a little new with using this pen, so please bear with me. My handwriting is coming out. Oh God, sorry for that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do a better job. A slightly better job, I think. Anyway, uh, anyway, so hierarchy is a ranking order. It's an organization of society into ranked layers based on entitlements like rights, privileges, and duties. So what does that mean? Hierarchy is, you may get the idea, is about layers, and layers that are stacked on top of each other or below each other. So they're put above or below each other, right? And so there's somebody who's superior and there's somebody who's inferior. Now this could be on the basis of social statuses that people have, maybe on the basis of gender, maybe on the basis of power structures that exist in society, maybe on the basis of definitely class. So there can be different types of hierarchy on educational basis. The word entitlement just really means the legal and socio-cultural rights, duties, and privileges, right? So that's what hierarchy means here. And exclusion refers to the denial of access to resources, power, and status due to discrimination, right? So exclusion in most cases is a result of discrimination. So people are discriminated against, and they could be, let's just say, discriminated against on the basis of their sexuality, again on the basis of their race, on the basis of their caste or religion or gender or whatever that basis be. And when they're excluded, then they lack equal access to resources, uh, maybe access to housing, maybe access to water supply, maybe access to sanitation, maybe access to other opportunities such as good jobs or education, right? And they may not have effective representation in power, right? They may not have good social status, right? They may be discriminated against, they may be stigmatized. So that is what exclusion means. And then social transformation, right? So this means social transformation means large scale social change, first of all. So the scale is important, large scale. So this is not at the level of individual, we're talking about at the level of multiple social institutions in society. And often there is a presumption, right? The presumption is that it is positive, right? There is positive social change. And in often terms of for this answer at least, we'd like to think about that social transformation in terms of governance, in terms of economy, in terms of positive social values, something that drives our society towards a positive direction, right? So we have defined in the introduction paragraph what is hierarchy and what is exclusion and what is social transformation. Now we would like to, so basically what we're doing now in the main content body is we are getting over to how are hierarchy and exclusion acting as roadblocks to social transformation, right? So they're creating problems on the pathway to social transformation. So how is that? So now we're explaining that relationship, right? So we've got Melvin Tillman, right? Melvin Tillman was the guy who criticized Davis and Moore's theory on the structural functional theory, right? So Melvin Tillman says that stratification restricts access to quality education, reducing the potential talent pool for society. And what does that mean? See, Melvin Tillman had said in criticism of Davis and Moore had said that the talent pool is restricted in society because people have different talents. Basically, they meant innately that they're gifted. They did not differentiate between talent and skill, and they said that people have they're kind of born with different unique capabilities and abilities. So, but Melvin Tillman says that people's abilities or capabilities are in large part a result of where they lie in society. What that means is, let's just say you're born in a privileged society, you've got educated parents, and you've been sent to good schools. So obviously you would have better education and better achievements, and you would have a better placement in society, and you would be able to access jobs better, right? You would perform in tests better. But on the other hand, if you're in disprivileged environments, well, that wouldn't be the same for you, right? It would be disadvantaged for you. So that the talent pool, in terms of, let's just say, who are available for jobs, good jobs, right, is reflecting the already existing inequality that there is in society, right? That is what Melvin Tubin said. So, we will give that point here. So our first point here is that hierarchy and exclusion, they curtail access to education and skills for everybody, at least equitably. And as an example for that, in caste-based hierarchies in India, we find that educational opportunities are unequally distributed, especially for the marginalized groups. And according to one of these reports of the Ministry of Education from 2021-22, the literacy rates in the general category in India are 77.7%, and that is compared to 67.1% literacy rate for the scheduled caste. So we see around like a 10% difference there, and we can see that creates a problem there, that curtails equal access. Now, second point, moving ahead in the main body, is restricting access to power. Now, people need to have equal access to power so that there can be an equitable system. C.W. Mills, our neo-Marxist thinker, C.W. Mills, in his work Power Elite, where he gave the power elite theory, he says that elite groups exclude the masses from power, hindering a move towards equity, meaning limiting, restricting a move towards equity, towards a more equitable society where benefits are equally distributed between people. That exclusion from power, right? Wherein there's a hierarchy, somebody is more powerful and somebody is less powerful, and so the people who are less powerful are excluded from access to power. And what that does is it makes it makes sure that society is not equitable, right? And we are saying here that the dominance of, as an example, dominance of political and economic elites in India or across the world through, let's just say, use of money and muscle power during elections, which is quite common that we find across elections, defeats the purpose of universal adult franchise, where where all adult members have a vote that they can exercise, but the point and purpose of that is often defeated through the use of money and muscle power, and at the behalf of the power elite. And so that keeps us away from an equitable distribution of power, right? So that's another point. And then we have this point from about collective mobilization, where we're saying that in the resource mobilization theory says that you need varied types of resources in order to have collective action, in order to have a social movement. But then for that, one of the kind of resources that you need to have is a social organization, where people need to be able to organize together their efforts, and then you can have a movement, right? So this theory stresses a lot about resource availability, not only financial but also other types, including social organizational capability. And we are giving an example that in India, since there was a lot of hierarchy and exclusion, right? And let's just say we talk about caste hierarchy. What it did was it weakened our unity, our capacity to mobilize ourselves together, have social organization against the Britishers, and that resulted in delaying social and political change, which we can see as social transformation, desirable social transformation. So our point here is that collective mobilization capacity is hindered, is limited, is restricted in the direction of social transformation due to hierarchy and exclusion. Now our fourth point here is inequitable, meaning unequal, distribution of resources. Now, class, caste, and gender, right, based exclusion hinders, that is limits, access to economic resources, preventing societies from leveraging human capital. Now, the concept here is demographic dividend. If people have equal access to all these various resources, then what we're going to see is faster GDP growth in society, right, which is going to be beneficial for everybody. But since marginalized groups don't have that, they're excluded from it, there's a hierarchy. So because of that, what we see is that there is unequal growth. There is we are not able to realize our full demographic potential, right? And that is another problem created by exclusion and hierarchy, limitation on economic growth. Now, our last and final point that we are making in our final body here is that Karl Marx's theory. So, you may think that, I may not be able to fit more than, let's just say, 4 points, or that you may be able to write 5 points. So that is up to you. If you can, you can choose pretty much any of these 5 points. So we're mentioning 5 here, but if you feel that I can only be able to, in my writing speed and time, be able to write 4 points, well, but that's good enough for us, for the checker, I also believe, right? So for this 5th point, Karl Marx's views on class struggle suggest that exploitation, which is a result of hierarchy and exclusion, exploitation leads to instability and potential revolutions. So that hierarchy and exclusion are politically destabilizing. And we can see that in the form of the examples of Arab Spring Revolution. This was a revolution that started from 2008 from Tunisia, and that spread around more than, a dozen countries. And a lot of the remnants of that, like the continuing implications of that, we are still continuing to see, right? Tunisia, there was a very high amount of unemployment, and under the regime of Zain El Abidine Ben Ali, this president had been ruling like a dictator since 40 years, and it started off this revolution, right? So there was a lot of exclusion, right, from opportunities, right, in that case. And it spread across similar countries. And recent case of Sri Lanka, where we've seen a lot of economic inequality and exclusion, and hierarchical structures, some very powerful and economically privileged and others not, right, have resulted in what? Political instability. So it has become an impediment, a roadblock in desirable social transformation. Okay, so this is the part where we deal with the main content of our answer, and then we look at the conclusion part to our answer, right? And what we can mention is 2 kinds of things. Let's just say, one, we would like to balance. Now, Herbert Spencer had mentioned that if social change is slow, it's gradual, then it brings stability, right? So we can try to say that rather than getting in social transformation, which is revolutionary, we can rather opt for social transformation, which is Fabian in nature, like the British model of socialism, which is democratic, which basically believes in the power of democracy and voting rights in order to bring in desirable social change, and that we should prioritize distributive justice, which is the opposite of hierarchy and exclusion, right? And that is this idea given by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, right? The chief architect, the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution of India. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, right, as we know, the great luminary. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had talked about justice, social and economic, taken together as distributive justice, and which is the opposite of hierarchy and exclusion. It means that benefits should be equally distributed socially as well as economically, and so there should not be hierarchy and exclusion, and there should be equitable benefit distribution. And so that's the opposite. And so democratic reforms, Fabian socialism, and opposite of hierarchy, exclusion, distributive justice, and not through revolution, but like as Herbert Spencer says, gradual, right? And still it is not going to be smooth, we can conclude. Hegel says that there's for a thesis, there's an antithesis, and then the process continues in a synthesis, and the synthesis becomes the new thesis, and that has an antithesis. So oppositional forces interact with each other. That is the dialectical view, right? Creating reality, and that is the way still change is going to happen, right? It may not be a smooth progressive line towards social transformation, right? So we can bring in this Hegel's final views on on this answer, right? And with that, we can conclude this answer. You can download the PDF of this answer from the link below, provided below in the YouTube video. And also please do subscribe to this channel and like the video if you like this content. That will provide me a little bit of motivation to start this long effort of what looks like a long effort of answering large number of the previous questions that we've had from all the topics, right, in sociology till date, which is supposed to help you in better understanding the demand and scoring better marks. So that is our aim, to get you through civil services. And well, see you in the next video. Bye bye.